Okay, Rav Shaul back. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what were the disciples doing gathered together and coming out of hiding and risking their very lives on that day? Pentecost means the 50th day. It is actually really known as the Feast of Shavuot, and it is the last festival in the spring cycle of Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, First Fruits, and then 50 days later, Shavuot. Shavuot is commanded in the law, and it really is the celebration of Yahweh giving Moses the written Torah. So, that is what they were doing that night. They were keeping Shavuot. They were celebrating the Torah and the giving of the Torah, and they were putting their lives in danger doing it. This contradicts Christianity's teaching that the law was abolished. Not only did the disciples not believe that lie, but they were keeping and celebrating the Torah on Shavuot, the night the Spirit of Yahweh overtook them. Christianity teaches that the Apostle Paul is the one who said that the law was abolished. Really? Because Paul went out of his way and traveled all the way back to Jerusalem, dropping everything as he traveled Asia Minor, establishing churches, just to celebrate the Torah on Shavuot. We see in Acts 20:16, Paul going out of his way to get back to Jerusalem to celebrate the Torah. It says, for Shaul had decided to bypass Ephesus on his voyage in order to avoid losing time in the province of Asia, because he was in a hurry to get back to Jerusalem, if possible, in time to celebrate Shavuot. In Acts 24:14, we see Paul declaring his belief in the law and the prophets, which is the Torah. He said, but this I admit to you, I worship Yahweh, the God of our fathers, in accordance with the way, the same way that Joshua taught. What did he say that way was? He said, I continue to believe everything that accords with the Torah and everything written in the prophets. In Acts 28:17, Paul declares that he is a Torah-observant Jew. Brothers, speaking to all the local Jewish leaders who had brought him up on charges for teaching against the Torah, although I have done nothing against either our people or the traditions of our father, which is the Torah. In Acts 22:12, Paul went to a Torah-observant Jew to be healed. What's that all about? A man named Hananiah. And it says, an observant follower of the Torah. Why would it say that? Who was highly regarded by the entire Jewish community there, came to me, stood by me, and said, Brother Shaul, see again. It was an observant Torah follower who healed Shaul, Paul. In Philippians 3:5-6, we see that Paul was a Pharisee. He was a Jewish rabbi, a lawyer, and blameless in keeping the law. We read in Philippians 3:5-6 that he was circumcised on the 8th day according to the Torah. He was of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews. As teaching the law, he was a Pharisee. He was a teacher of the law. Concerning zeal, he went so far as to persecute Christians. According to teaching righteousness, which he said is the law, he was blameless. He was blameless in keeping the law. In Romans 2:13, we see Paul again declare that obedience to the law is the very foundation of righteousness. In fact, Paul was killed for being a Nazarene, which by definition, a Nazarene are those keepers and defenders of the Torah, prophets, and the Messiah. That's in Acts 24:5-6. So the answer to the question of what were the disciples doing in that room on that day, they were doing as Paul did, as Joshua did. They were keeping the Torah and celebrating the giving of the Torah at the risk of their very own lives. Next, we'll talk about the Spirit of Yahweh and what was it that came upon them on that day. This is Rav Shaul with the rest of the story of Pentecost or Shavuot.